And I worked as an auto mechanic, and I drove tow trucks, and I worked for landscapers, and I went to school to be an ambulance attendant, and got some really good knowledge from that, medical things. In case anybody's feeling sick, I can help you. I tried to do a lot of stuff. I built houses, and I painted them, and I tried to start a couple businesses, and I was a failure at all of it, and I was, for one reason or another, in trouble. And I guess I had a lot of nefarious friends because my family moved around so much. And I had this idea in the back of my head that I could be a movie actor, but you know, the odds of a situation coming up where you could actually do that were not very big. And I knew a friend of mine that I was going to school with he was actually going to school that I was going at, because I was going to do the paramedic thing. And he was an actor. And we used to ride the train together in Chicago. And we'd go back and forth on the L train in Chicago. And he said, I'm going to go to an audition. Will you go with me? And I said, well, no, man, I really don't want to go with you. And he said, no, come on, I don't want to be by myself. And I said, okay. And he went into this place. It was like a big auditorium, and there was a lot of young men there. And they were all going up and reading for a director and a casting director, one by one. And I watched him when he went down and did his reading, and they kind of were done with him. And he was leaving, so I got up to go, and I was walking out with him. And the guy at the table, the director, he said, hey, what are you doing? Where are you going? And I said, I'm leaving. And he goes, why? And I said, because I'm leaving. And he said, yeah, but how come you're not reading? And I said, because I didn't come here for that. And he said, well, why don't you? Would you read these sites? And I said, first of all, man, I don't know what that is, and so I don't know why you want me to do that. And he said, look, and he showed me a piece of paper and had lines of dialogue. And he said, okay, you're this guy, and I'm that guy, and we'll sit together and just read this with me. Just, if you don't want to, then fine. I looked at my friend, and he looked like he was going to kill me, you know, because he was like, you know, he was really hoping that this thing was going to happen. And there was me, I couldn't even make up my mind if I was going to stay. And I sat down and I read this scene with the guy. And he said to me, he goes, did you ever consider a film career? And I lied, and I said, no. And he said, if you went to New York City, I guarantee you that you could get work as an actor. And I ended up going to New York. I had $400, and I went to New York City. I stayed at the Mayflower Hotel, which is now condominiums. I stayed in 14G, and I met Sergio Leone, who at that time was spaghetti western director. And he told me, he said, look, I think you should be a film actor. And I said, why? And he said, well, I think that's what you should do. And I said, well, does that mean you'll give me a job? And he said, yeah, that he would put me in a movie. But then he died.
That's awkward.
So, you know, I figured that's it, right? Thanks a lot, man. But, yeah.
I would have killed to have seen spaghetti western with you in it.
The end of the dream. Yeah, no, I think, I've often thought that I could be really, I'd like to do that. I think I could be the silent guy who doesn't say too much, but he's gonna get you, you know, at some point. But they're not gonna redo those. If they did, I hope they call me. But
the problem is people keep giving you flashy dialogue, and then, you know, next thing you know, you're in movies and you're reading stuff, and you look. Briefly, I've got a bunch of questions.
Dialogue.
I've got a bunch of questions from people in the room. I want to get to them if I can. Liam from London, wherever you are, he's not going to make himself known. He's in a room full of people. People will point at him. Liam says, your favourite movie to make? What was it and why?
My favorite movie to make? I did a cop thing in Vancouver called Vice. I played a very disturbed, violent police officer. And I don't know why, but there's something strange about the picture. It's mysterious. It moves kind of slow, but it's very subtle. And outside of Strength and Honor, which is a fight picture, a boxing picture I made here in Ireland, I played an Irish-American prize fighter. And I hope that someday that thing gets a decent distribution, a good release, because I shot it here in this wonderful country, and it's a very, very good film. There's no guns or cigarettes or anything, and it's a father and son story, and it's very well done. It's a very precious piece of film, and but the cop thing, Vice, I couldn't say why. I just you'd have to watch it a couple times to get it. It's about a lot of things, and you have to watch it a few times to understand.
Okay. Oisin Davis is from Dublin, is here somewhere. Good evening, Oisin. On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool was Lawrence Tierney?
Lawrence Tierney was out of his mind. Okay? I mean, the guy was like mentally disturbed. Help me get this damn thing on.
Gladly, sir. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's sit too tight. Oh, God, thank you.
Oh, wow, we get to see the back of your shirt. The front is great, but the back is super. Let's have a look at the back. The back's amazing.
I'm not a fashion show, man. I might not even sit back down. May hang it over here. Lawrence Tierney was crazy. He once took a swing at me. He took a great big right roundhouse punch at me, and I leaned back, and I actually felt the breeze go past my face. I'm really glad he didn't connect. But he was kind of wild, and he was kind of cantankerous. And he was a wonderful old guy, and I feel kind of bad for him because he was a really great actor, but he was getting on a little bit, and he was kind of having trouble with his dialogue, and him and Quentin would get in really bad arguments with each other. And Quentin actually fired him when we were doing the Pancake House scene. He got really mad when he had to look in between Steve Buscemi and Harvey about the Susie Wongs. You know, he had to do that with his head. And he felt like Quentin was making a fool of him. And he got really mad, and he said, well, I'm not gonna tell you what he said, but he got a bit angry, and he was actually fired that day. And he walked down the street, right down the middle of the street, and cars were honking at him, and he just was like in another world. And Quentin chased him, and they hugged each other. They made up, and he was rehired. But every time I saw him after we made the movie, he would always hit me up for $20. And I'm not kidding. Hey, Madsen, give me $20. You got $20? I'd be like, Lawrence, why are you asking me for $20? Give me $20. And I'd say, okay, Lawrence, man, okay, man. I'd give him $20. And one day, I was at the Hollywood Athletic Club. I was shooting pool, and I was with Chris Penn, who was a dear, dear, dear friend of mine. And so, anyway, Lawrence come up and he said that he had some lawn furniture that he wanted to give me, and that I want this lawn furniture. And I said, no, man, I don't want any lawn furniture. And he says, oh, come on, I'll drop it off at your house. I'll put it in a truck, and I'll bring it over to your house, and I'll drop it off. And I said, Lawrence, no, man, I don't want the lawn furniture, forget about it. Just give me $20. I said, okay, man, here's $20, but I don't want the lawn furniture, all right? So I run into Chris about 2 weeks later at something, and he comes up to me and he goes, Michael, what the hell is going on? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, what the hell's going on with you and Lawrence? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, he dropped off a whole bunch of lawn furniture in front of my house. And he told me that you bought it for me. I said, Lawrence was a bit touched. He was funny. He was great for the part. You know, there's that scene where he's giving out the names and the colors to all the guys. And he got so angry because we were all in the room with him at first. And we were all sitting in our chairs, but the camera was only on him. And he had to say, listen, you guys, stop fooling around, and you're Mr. White, you're Mr. Blonde, Mr. Pink. And so why do I have to be Mr. Pink? And he couldn't, he was having trouble getting the dialogue out in order. And so, one by one, most of us kind of, we got up and left the room. And so he was left by himself. And at one point, I was like the only one left in there. And I was sitting there, because I was trying to be respectful to him. And he was like, Mr. White, Mr. Blonde. And I just went like this. I reached up and scratched the side of my head. It was really, I was like, he goes, what are you doing? And I said, Lawrence, I scratched my head. He goes, I know, but you're moving around too much. Like, you can't concentrate with you moving around like that. And I said, okay. So I sat there like really still, you know. And I was like really still. I said, okay. So they roll on him again. He goes into his thing. Oh, you know, there's some other guy in another job named Mr. Purple, and everybody wants to be Mr. Black, and Quentin's like, cut. He goes, Lawrence, what's wrong? He goes, what's with Madsen? He's just sitting there staring at me. I was like, Lawrence, what are you doing? Okay, man, I just won't be here. Will you be more happy that way? So the whole room ended up being empty. When he shot that thing, what you see in the film, he was all by himself when he finally got that out, man. It took like a half a day for him to get that out.
I'm being told, unfortunately, by those at the front of the stage that that's it, and that our time is very much, unfortunately, up. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the impossibly cool Mr. Michael Madsen.